It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. We are starting to see some of the effects that higher prices at fast food chains, whether it be to the California minimum wage law for fast food workers, inflation, or all other factors, is starting to have. Some people are choosing to stay away from the drive-thru, not because they're not addicted to it, but because it is no longer cheap to go to fast food. And sometimes it's not even fast. How many times you've been to the drive-thru and the person says, "Hey, can you go park in a parking space and wait 10 minutes because your food's not ready?" McDonald's announced today that they missed their quarterly earnings, which does not happen too often for McDonald's. That is directly attributed to the fact that less people are going to that particular fast food establishment. Let's find out what's going on here with a report that made it to the national news. This was on the Today Show. But I'm going to cut out the part at the end where all the Today Show people are joking around and being like, "Hey, look at this McDonald's. Isn't this fun?"
Fast foodies are fed up.
I don't know if anybody who's addicted to the drive-thru has ever called themselves a fast foodie. As somebody that ate a lot of that crap every single day for many years of my life, not once did I call myself a fast foodie.
Fast foodies are fed up.
But it is some nice alliteration, so I'll give them credit for that.
Fast foodies are fed up, taking to social media to rant about what they see as non-value meals.
Yeah, but that's also clickbait. I mean, I don't think your average person is posting Instagram videos. "Can you believe this? A Jumbo Jack is $7. Can you believe this? 2 tacos for 99 cents. Try 2 tacos for $1.79. I think influencers are doing that. Maybe they are. Maybe random people are posting anger videos. "Can you believe these prices?"
Taking to social media to rant about what they see as non-value meals.
$17 for 3 Filet-O-Fishes at McDonald's? Are you kidding me?
Were those 3 Filet-Fishes just for her?
$17 for 3 Filet-O-Fishes at McDonald's? Are you kidding me?
That price, that seems pretty consistent with the way those were. Now, I've been off this crap for a while, but I even remember in my day, you were looking at a minimum of $5 for a fish fillet. So yeah, $17, that seems about right. Or you can not eat there.
After 2 years of menu price hikes, big companies finally feeling the pushback from diners. McDonald's profits falling short of expectations, a rare stumble for the Golden Arches. The CEO on Tuesday noting today's consumer is being picky about how they spend their money, and the company needs to be laser focused on affordability.
Well, I don't know how you're going to do that. It's not like the dollar menus are coming back anytime soon. They went from dollar menus to $1, $2, $3 menus to $5 menus. I don't even know if there's any savings anymore.
The CEO on Tuesday noting today.
Now the thing is, let's get you on the app so we can data mine you, and then we'll give you $1 off your Whopper.
The CEO on Tuesday noting today's consumer is being picky about how they spend their money, and the company needs to be laser focused on affordability.
Has the consumer finally spoken, and now they have to focus on value?
The consumer is frustrated by the prices they are paying at fast food restaurants, and they are absolutely voting with their feet.
If fast food is not cheap, then people will still go because it's fast, but they won't go because it's affordable. There are, surprisingly, other affordable food options out there.
Opting, he says, for Domino's or Burger King.
Oh boy. I mean, sure.
Which both exceeded expectations. Or cooking at home, where food inflation is cooling.
There it is. Even though we've seen spikes in grocery prices, especially at Kroger for some reason, maybe it's because they wanted to buy Vons, we know that cooking at home is always going to be cheaper than going out, even cheaper than the drive-thru, if you know what you're doing and you're planning accordingly. So while it might be unfortunate that we're feeling the pain of these price increases, there might be a side effect to all this if more people are cooking at home instead of going to the drive-thru. Breaking yourself out of that cycle is not easy, but the benefits are incredible.
Or cooking at home.
And I say this as somebody who craves this crap all the time.
Or cooking at home, where food inflation is cooling. Inflation measuring food at home rose just 1.2% in March versus a year ago.
It's still expensive. Let's not get it wrong. It's still a lot more expensive than it used to be. I mean, nowadays, Kroger is excuse me, I don't need to say the national brand. Ralph's is as expensive as Gelson's. But at least Gelson's, you get what you're paying for.
Inflation measuring food at home rose just 1.2% in March versus a year ago, compared to 4.2% for food away from home, which includes fast food. Those customers are increasingly revolting at repeated price increases.
And this has been going on way before the $20 an hour minimum wage boost in California. I can tell you, as somebody that ate this junk repeatedly every single day going into work for many, many, many years, I've seen the price increases. And I always had my set combo at all the establishments, whether it was a Jack in the Box, whether it was a McDonald's or a Del Taco or a Carl's Jr. Ooh, that used to be my weakness for a while. And I remember my average spend for the food that I would get, which was way more food than any human should be eating in one meal, but you know, there's not really any actual nutrition in it, so that's why you can eat so much of it and still feel hungry. I think if I go back to when I moved to this house in 2018, I've been in this house for 6 years. I believe my average spend in 2018 for the meal that I would get, which would usually constitute of a combo as well as an additional sandwich. And if it's Jack in the Box, a combo, an additional sandwich, and got to get those 2 tacos. I mean, who are we kidding? I believe in 2018, my average spend was $12 for said assorted amount of items. Whether it's that at Jack in the Box or I get my 2 famous stars at Carl's Jr. with a chicken sandwich and a drink. I remember it going up over the years, and I would say pretty consistently from 2018 through before COVID, it was a daily occurrence. I was that hooked. I was a mess. And I was also hiding all of this from everybody. So I would sneakily throw the fast food bag away in the dumpster at work before anybody could see me have it, because I'm not eating that crap anymore. I can tell you honestly, I'm not eating that crap anymore. But that average spend for the same amount of food went from 12 to 13 to 14 to 15 to 16. When I finally stopped cold turkey about a little more than a year ago, that average spend for the food I was getting just for me, for a meal I wasn't even telling anybody I was having, which didn't count the actual food that I have at my home, was $16. And boy, does that add up. Because for me, it was never about a meal. It was about a treat. It was about a little snack. But if I was spending 16, 5 days a week, 4 weeks a month, I was spending $320 just on slop, just for me. If I now add up that times 12, just to see, I have probably saved in the last year $4,000 on not eating fast food. And not only that, I lost 50 pounds.
Those customers are increasingly revolting at repeated price increases. Mother of 5, Latifah Henry, says if prices get any higher, she'll skip the drive-thru.
We're looking at $10, $11, $12 sometimes just for one meal. So that.
Gosh, if you got 5 kids, you're looking at minimum $100 no matter where you go. Yikes.
That is kind of something where we're like, okay, do we really want to eat out at McDonald's for those prices? Or can we find somewhere that's, a little higher quality that is pretty much a similar price?
And it's not just the burgers. Drinks have gone up too. Prices for Coca-Cola up 7% in North America.
Yeah, that's where they get you. And that is absolutely, I'll say it. When you see soda prices increase, that's price gouging. It costs there is almost no difference in how much it costs the fast food establishment to sell you a 12-ounce Coke to a 32-ounce Coke. Those bibs, they get you a lot of product for very little investment. My advice, stay off the sody pop. But yes, Coke is going through the roof.
Drinks.
We got seltzer nowadays. I've been off of straight up Coke and Diet Coke and Pepsi and Diet Pepsi for quite a while now. And feels pretty good. But yes, that crap's even more addictive. And in fact, I attribute the fact that I've been able to stay off of fast food this long to the fact that I also quit caffeine, which means I can't have that craving for a Diet Coke. And what's the easiest way to get a Diet Coke? The drive-thru.
Drinks have gone up too. Prices for Coca-Cola up 7% in North America. And 2 months ago, Wendy's CEO fired up controversy when he told investors the hamburger chain would test dynamic pricing.
Like an airline ticket or Disneyland. Although I still think that was a publicity stunt because even though it made Wendy's look bad, people forget the story, but for a while we're like, oh yeah, Wendy's. Got to get those spicy nuggets. Oh boy. I think Wendy's, just because I had to always make sure I get that spicy chicken sandwich along with that 4 for $4, which they don't have anymore, or the 5 for $5, they don't have that anymore. Oh, I would spend up to $17 at Wendy's. It adds up. It is expensive. And yes, grocery store prices have gone up. Not that much.
Starting next year, changing prices at different times of the day. In California, Chipotle, Chick-fil-A, Pizza Hut, and Jack in the Box warned customers of higher prices ahead because of a new $20 minimum wage for their workers. As for McDonald's, in an effort to calm customer concerns, it plans to test out a higher quality and bigger burger later this year.
Haven't they done that before? And it didn't work? I remember when McDonald's was going through a little bit of a growing pains in the early 90s, they thought, we're going to cater to the gourmet burger people. We're going to come out with the Arch Deluxe. That was a massive failure. And you know what? I think 10 years later, they tried the same thing, called it something else. And 10 years later, they tried the same thing, called it something else. And here we are 10 years later, they're trying the same thing. Nobody's going to McDonald's for a gourmet burger. There are some incredible places that you can get a gourmet burger at all around Southern California, usually mom and pops. Listen to our podcast on open phones and burger recommendations from a few weeks ago. You'll hear some great ones all over the place. Not one person called in and said it's the Big Mac or it's the quarter pounder with cheese. That's not what it's for. Nobody's going to fast food for gourmet. They're going for slop or they're going for hangover food. It's real good for that. Soaking up the booze, really great for that. Something really quick that'll satisfy a deep-seated addiction that you have. It's really good for that. But we can all agree at this point it's no longer cheap. And sometimes it's not even fast. Although In-N-Out Burger, always the outlier here, I would say has raised their prices the least. And that line seems to move fast even when it's 20 cars deep. And their minimum wage for their employees was above this $20 an hour. But that's a very independent case. If every company was run like In-N-Out Burger, it wouldn't make In-N-Out Burger so special. But obviously, prices are going up all over the place. And even if you're switching from eating out to going to the grocery store, that can still be very expensive. If you don't plan what you're doing accordingly, your grocery spend for the week for just a couple can go from $200 to $300 to $400. That's a lot of money. Still cheaper than the fast food. Remember, I was telling you about that $320 a week. That was for one meal. Or $320 a month. That was for one meal. One meal per day. Most people eat 3. I eat 2. 2.5 because I probably have a snack somewhere. But I will say that the changing environment, inflation, the rising prices of food, it has caused me to rethink the way that I eat. One, we don't go out nearly as much as we would want to. It's really more of a special occasion thing. And when we do go out, we enjoy ourselves and we go for it. And I always make sure to tip accordingly because I worked in food service. I know what those jobs are like. But even when we're eating at home, we're doing a lot more meal prepping, a lot more planning ahead. Instead of having one specific protein and a vegetable and a grain every night, a different meal, a different kind of cuisine every night. We'll make 2 or 3 things, do a lot of meal prepping on a Sunday, and then we've got food through the week that we can rotate out so it doesn't get boring. And when you're only preparing 2 or 3 large meals as opposed to 5 or 6 small meals, you can really save up. For instance, what do we do this week? I made a gazpacho. That's a tomato soup from Spain. We've got that sitting in the fridge. My wife made this spring roll salad, which was delicious. And the yield on it was massive. And just one of those little things of rice noodles and vegetables and one thing of chicken breasts. it did not cost that much money. And that's salads for the whole week right there. I did a pork carnitas because I love a braising, and that got us 2.5 meals. Probably would have gotten 3, but whenever I make a pork carnitas, I end up sneaking a little in the fridge right before I go to bed because I like it when it's cold and I still taste that flavor. But meal prepping has really been big for us. And not only is it making things less of a headache, it has definitely cut down our grocery spend. I would say my grocery spend has gone from $300 to $400 a week to $200 to $300 a week, which I feel pretty good about. But this is what I'm curious and I'd like to talk to you about at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. We've seen the inflation going around in every factor, but I think the place we see it the most is food, because food is something that we buy every week, sometimes every single day. We've obviously seen, it's been in the headlines, the price increases that have been going on across the board at fast food establishments. I want to know, how have rising prices changed your eating habits? Are you staying away from the drive-thru because it got too expensive? Are you doing more meal prepping? Are you cooking at home more? How are rising prices changing the way you eat? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Are rising prices keeping you away from the drive-thru? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Tell me how inflation has changed your eating habits. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're taking your phone calls, 800-222-KABC. Executives at certain fast food companies like McDonald's are admitting that people are starting to stay away because the prices keep going up and up and up. My question to you at 800-222-KABC, whether it's fast food or the grocery store, how have rising prices changed your eating habits? Are you eating at home more? Are you doing meal prepping? Are you finally staying away from the drive-thru, which could be considered the silver lining in this whole story? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. How are rising prices changing your eating habits? Let's go to Diana in Whittier. Diana, hello.
Hey, Randy. Love your show. I do a lot of meal prep now, and I usually make something, a big meal on Sunday, and that usually takes us for Sunday, Monday, maybe even into Tuesday, and I kind of just change it up a little bit. I'll add other things to whatever I'm making, and I do more baking, and I have to. It's crazy. It's just nuts. Every time I go in the store, it's awful.
Yeah, you can no longer run around a grocery store like a kid in a candy store. Oh, that looks great. That looks great. I know I need that. You've really got to plan ahead, set a list, set a budget, because it can get out of control quickly. And then when you finally are at the checkout register and you see the sticker shock, it can get quite crazy.
It's very crazy. And yeah, you're right. Exactly. I used to go in and say, I might be able to use this. No, I really try and stick to my list. And just do that. And even going to Costco, I try not to look at anything that other than on my list, because Costco is definitely my downfall. There's always something there, and I'm trying to be really good about it.
You know, I love Costco. I love the idea of Costco. My parents had a membership, so I used to go all the time. I specifically will not get a Costco membership because I know even though you buy in bulk, you get some great deals, and they have some incredible deals on food. They also have very high quality food there. But the problem is you go into Costco, it is so hard not to come out with 17 things you never thought you were ever going to need.
That is so true. Or don't go hungry.
Kind of
oh my God, that's the worst.
I remember one time I went into a Costco, and this is when I was into juicing, and I was just like, I'm going to get a whole bunch of cucumbers and carrots. And I came out with this 2-pound tub of seaweed salad that I never ate, but it looked really good at the time.
Well, I do composting, so I guess after, if I don't eat it, then I'm going to just throw it in the compost so it doesn't just go in the trash.
I love that too. You know what I've been doing lately? And this is getting a little crazy, but we've started to, all the refuse, all the stems and the seeds or whatever from any vegetables that we're chopping, we put them in containers. And then at the end of the week, with whatever bones from whatever protein we had, pork, chicken, beef, we will make stock. we'll make a bone broth like once or twice a week. And then my wife got these soup cubes where we pour the broth into these ice cube trays. And then we have so much broth in the freezer ready to go. It not only will save a couple of bucks, but it's also, when you make your own broth at home, it tastes so good. And all of those pieces of vegetables I was never going to eat, I'm not throwing away.
Absolutely. That's very, very smart. Not something I've tried yet, but definitely on my list of things to do. Very smart.
Well, we're all trying to work a little smarter here. Diana, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. 1-800-222-5222. McDonald's missed their quarterly earnings. Why? Because people are staying away from the drive-thru because it got too expensive. I want to know whether it's the fast food places increasing their prices because of the minimum wage law, inflation at the grocery store. How have rising prices changed your eating habits? Is it keeping you away from the drive-thru? Are you getting into meal prepping? I want to talk to you. 800-222-KABC. 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. We'll take your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com. That's randykabc@gmail.com. We are starting to really see the effects of rising prices at fast food establishments that got accelerated with the fast food minimum wage bill in California. We're starting to see people stay away from the drive-thru. McDonald's missed their quarterly earnings, which doesn't usually happen for them. And even their CEO said because of rising prices, because of inflation, people are being a little more careful with their dollars. So my question to you, amid the inflation in fast food, the rising prices at the grocery stores, which admittedly is not as high as in fast food, how have rising prices changed your eating habits? Are you staying away from the drive-thru because it got too expensive? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. How have rising prices changed your eating habits? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Ed in Huntington Beach. Ed, hello.
Hey, Randy, how are you?
Doing great.
Hey, so, I'll tell you, this whole ordeal with these prices is crazy. I'm fortunate enough that I live about 5 miles from work, so I basically drive home every day. I go home every day, I make myself lunch, and I drive right back to work, when I used to never do that. And that's happened probably this last year. And I'll tell you, a couple days ago, my wife called me at work and said, "Hey, let's have a cheat day. Go bring some McDonald's." And she's all like, "Bring me a Big Mac and an order of fries." And I got a Big Mac and an order of fries. So it was 2 Big Macs, 2 fries, $26.
$26 for 2 Big Macs and 2 fries.
Exactly, $26. Not even a drink, and it was. I told her we could go sit down someplace and go eat practically for this. So
there are a lot more gourmet burgers you can get for $26.
I tell you. So I don't know. I mean, these companies have to be kind of going in the wrong direction now with their sales. So I just can't imagine that the average Joe Blow worker can afford to go out to eat every day at lunch when they've got a 45-minute lunch break or an hour lunch break. I mean, I'm sure people are taking stuff home, taking stuff to the office to eat.
I think you've got to, because I mean, especially you're working every day. Let's say you're working an hourly wage. Literally, like the money you make in an hour, you're blowing in 20 minutes of eating.
Exactly. Isn't that crazy? So I mean, I don't know what people are going to do. I don't get it. I don't get
Well,
it.
I think you got the right idea, Ed, and I love that you live that close to your job. I'm super jealous about that, but great idea. Making lunch at home every day, that saves you. Ed, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. $26 for 2 Big Macs and 2 fries. Holy cow. Has the rising prices at fast food changed your eating habits? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Sarah in Los Angeles. Sarah, hello.
Oh, hi. Hi, how are you? Thank you for taking my call. I just wanted to tell you that we did change our eating habits. I'm a single mom, and I have an athlete son who eats a lot, and he's in college. So what we decided to do is we prepare the meals at the beginning of the week for taking with us during the whole week, 4 days in advance. I make packages and then snacks, and also I decided to make food like in a crock pot, so when we get home, the food is hot and ready to go. So that's the only way we could manage. I don't know if that
Those
helps
crock
anybody.
pots, they're so convenient. And for me, that's how I first started learning how to cook. Was I used my wife's crock pot when I was just first dating her. And you know what I would do is the easiest meal in the world, Sarah. I would just take chicken breasts or chicken thighs and a package of salsa. Put that in the crock pot on low for 8 hours. You shred it all together. Salsa chicken. So good.
Yes. Also, Instant Pots, right away in half an hour, you have a whole meal going. So we decided not to go to fast food places anymore because it was costing us so much money. And I prepare the meals, and then I just hand it to him, and he takes it to school. He's in college. So that's how we manage. And another
oh yeah, give me another tip. I'd love to hear one.
Another tip is when my child, my son, who's an athlete, needs a lot of meat. So majority of them, they like to eat a lot of meat. So what I learned, instead of going to Ralph or some major food markets, I go to offshoot markets that they have coupons they send out, and they have specials. And I buy a whole bunch of meat, and I put them in the Instant Pot with some spices, and that's it. That's the meat for anything you want, the burritos, sandwiches, and that would cover his whole week. So going offshoot markets, you get a lot more for your money for grocery bill. You get a lot more.
That's a great idea. Sarah, those are some great suggestions. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. You know, another thing that I have done, and, it's always good to have room in your freezer, because if you happen to be able to get to a grocery store right when they open up in the morning, you'll see certain manager specials, and it's not like it's 1 day away from going bad. It's like 2 or 3 days away instead of 5 or 6 days away from going bad, but you save $2 or $3, and even if you don't want it right away, put it in the freezer. It's good for 6 months. The freezer has been my friend. And anytime we make a big meal prep thing and we don't finish all of it, instead of throwing it out, freezer. We've got it ready to go. Great for when we're coming back from a vacation. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Have the changing prices at fast food establishments changed your eating habits? 800-222-KABC. Let's go to Dan in Redondo. Dan, hello.
Hey, how's it going, Randy? As
Doing
a
great.
fast food connoisseur, I've definitely seen the increase in prices at some of these different brands, but some are more noticeable than others. So I find myself eating a whole lot more at In-N-Out because the increase doesn't seem to be so noticeable. But Subway, it's like $20 for a combo, or Chick-fil-A, and I'm like, where's the $5 footlongs at? But so In-N-Out seems to be
it's
doing
so
it right.
funny.
But
Dan,
these other ones like McDonald's,
when you tie your whole branding to a certain price point, and that's what Subway did with $5 footlongs, it was incredibly popular. But the problem was with the fees that they pass on to the franchisees and the cost of food, it was a loss leader. And it was the only thing people were going in for. So you literally had all the little independent Subway franchise owners crying, begging and pleading, stop promoting $5 footlongs. We lose money on it.
I understand that completely. Yeah, you're right about that, Randy. I love the show, man. You're the best.
Thanks so much for the call, Dan. Appreciate it. I was just listening to on the way home from work because I always listen to different show prep things. Wall Street Journal did this whole video on how Red Lobster has lost so much money giving away endless shrimp because it started to become a meme, and people go there and TikTok and be like, I'm going to have 40 shrimp. I'm going to have 60 shrimp. In a former life, that would have been me. Let's go to Joseph in Long Beach. Joseph, hello.
Oh, hey there. Great topic. And so interesting. I mean, I went through high school working fast food, and I still like it. I mean, Del Taco, In-N-Out, there's some great stuff out there. I don't live on it, but it's great. But for me, it was the $10 threshold that absolutely broke me. I'd go out to lunch on a lunch break, and I would just have this dread driving back from work or back to work. Like, I can't believe I just paid $10-15 for lunch. So it absolutely broke me at that point. And for me, packing a lunch, I just feel like I'm getting away with something, and just beating that whole thing. So, but again, for me, the price threshold absolutely broke me.
Yeah, $10 was insane. I still kept going up until 16, but I totally see your point. Joseph, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the telephone number. Have rising prices kept you away from the drive-thru? How has inflation changed your eating habits? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Have rising prices kept you away from the drive-thrus? How has inflation changed your eating habits? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. You can email us as well at randykabc@gmail.com. That's randykabc@gmail.com. And by the way, as a thank you to being a participant in this program, whether you call in, email, listen, tell your friends that, hey, Randy Wang's got a show, I got a prize for you. Are you ready? Swedish prog rock fans, get ready. 790 KABC welcomes Opeth to the YouTube Theater on October 30th. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com, but right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-790-5222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by Live Nation. Good luck dialing. If you'd like to send me an email, you can do so at randykabc@gmail.com. That's randykabc@gmail.com. Nick writes in and says, I just went to Wendy's for a Junior Baker cheeseburger and a medium Coke the other day. It was $7. What the hell? Junior Baker used to be $1.99. I remember when they used to be 99 cents. I remember when the Dave single used to be $3. Heck, remember how they had the 4 for $4, then they had the 5 for $5, or the thing that always suckered me in, first it was those 2 for $5. You get either mix and match with a Dave single and a spicy chicken sandwich, or 2 spicy chicken sandwiches, because I love that spicy chicken sandwich. It was 2 for $5. Then it was 2 for $6. Then it was 2 for $7. I think the last time I drove by a place that did a twofer, it's 2 for $9. Holy cow. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. If you'd like to send me an email, you can do so at randykabc@gmail.com. That's randykabc@gmail.com. Dewey writes in at randykabc@gmail.com. Is it possible that fast food joints have increased prices more than necessary to make that point of $20 an hour for fast food workers unrealistic, or as some would say, unsustainable? Well, there might be something to that, but since most of these fast food franchises are what they are, franchisees, their margins are so thin. What I do think that big corporations could do to help out their franchisees that are paying them in California, maybe to help offset that cost, because for the most part, the corporation is still acceptable, is maybe cut down on those franchise fees. By the way, I haven't been at In-N-Out in a while. Have they increased prices as quickly? Lines don't seem any shorter. No, the lines aren't any shorter at In-N-Out. In-N-Out raised the price of the double-double minimally, not by a whole lot. It's still a great deal for what you get compared to everything else. It's high quality, and there's nothing like getting a double-double. Those fries, I always get them light well. They taste a lot better light well. If you thought you didn't like In-N-Out fries, order them light well. It's a game changer. But yeah, I do love me my In-N-Out. Also, you know, it'll save you some money. Bring your own bottle of water or get a soda stream. Make your own soda at home. Don't buy the soda because it's expensive. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Let's go to Dan in Glendale. Dan, hello.
How's it going? By the way, I hate In-N-Out fries, and your suggestion I'm taking to heart.
Yeah, try them. Ask Lightwell. I'm telling you, it makes them 10 times better.
Anyways, what I was calling about is the fact that all these fast food restaurants take SNAP EBT cards, correct? Am I right on that?
Oh, you're right. And some of them even let you use it in the drive-thru.
Right. So basically, these prices are going up, and a lot of these fast food restaurants are in low-income neighborhoods where the people, like, depended on that food for their, you know, just to eat because they're already low income. And now with SNAP, it's a bad cycle between taxpayers, and the prices go up. But at the end of the day, the taxpayers are probably going to be fronting this price increase for the majority of the customers that are purchasing the food at these fast food restaurants. And I like fast food. Don't get me wrong. I sneak it every once in a while. Not a bit like I got 2 kids and I bring my lunch to work and we meal prep, just like you say. But man, the cycle of, you know, workers getting more increase. I just don't know what's going on.
I totally get it. Dan, we're out of time, but I totally feel your frustration. And yeah, you're probably going to see an increase in SNAP benefits as well to make up for this increase. It just keeps going and going. See you tomorrow at 5 for another News Blitz on KABC.